Good morning, guys. It is day 33 of Flippin Live. I'm Andrew from 510 Books. And here we are, Thursday. What is it? May, sorry, I keep stuck in May, June 4th. So let's get started. We're going to talk about a couple things, but also about how to prep books for FBA.
Flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live. We're gonna strive, we're here to learn and gonna earn. Flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live, we're flippin' live.
Okay. Oh, well. Good morning, guys. So I see there's a few of you here. I was going to talk about prepping books for FBA. Brian had a comment. Hello, Brian. Hello, JD. Do you include condition notes for every single book? I found I don't always have time to check the inside for writing. And a few of my negative feedbacks were for things I didn't see when listing. Good question. Yes, I do for every single book, but I also list them. I list my books using AccelerList, so they have the ability to just good, Terry. They have the templates that you can, well, not templates, but you can fill in the condition notes ahead of time and just select whichever one you want, and it just drops it in there as I scan the books. So I have my barcode scanner. I just scan it. So let's say this one is good condition. I just scan it and it just drops in the same good condition. The notes that I already created beforehand, it just drops it in there. So I just have a generic condition notes, good condition, whatever I say, I don't know. Yeah, so I do include it for everyone. If there's a book that I come across that has a lot of highlighting or a lot of underlining or a lot of margin notes, then I will put that, include that in the notes, just add a little extra. So usually it says something like, I can't remember exactly what my condition notes say. It either says, book may have, you can do book may have highlighting, underlining, or margin notes, or you can say, book has none of that. Basically, has no underlining, no highlighting, no margin notes. But if it does, most of the books I come across do not. I would say maybe, I don't know. I can't put a percentage on it, but a certain percentage, a small percentage do. Some have excessive highlighting or excessive underlining or excessive margin notes or all three. And that I will definitely put in there in my condition notes. If it's really excessive, then I'm probably going to make it acceptable. And sometimes it's so bad that I can't sell the book, because if the underlining or the notes or anything like that is obfuscating the text or making it unreadable to a large degree or even a little bit, then you probably shouldn't sell the book. At least that's my experience. Or you should at least list it acceptable and put in the notes, condition notes, that some of the text is scored through because of underlining, because of careless underlining, however you want to phrase it. But yeah, I usually do include that type of stuff in there. By and large, though, like I said, most of the books don't have that, so it's not that time consuming to just drop in. What you can also do is, you could do it this way too. If you ahead of time, which is what I do, I stack good condition, very good, and if there's any acceptables. That's usually my range. Like 99% of the time, or whatever, very high percentage of the time, my books are good condition. I'll only say very good. Very good is basically the highest I'll go. Like new, the book would have to be so pristine. I just don't ever do like new, and it's fine. I still sell plenty. I just do very good. But if you feel like it's like new, go for it. But I usually just stick to good and very good. And occasionally I'll do an acceptable book. I usually try to stay away from acceptable books, but some that are worth money are just, I'd rather just sell it try to sell it anyway. But by and large, it's mostly good. But let's say I have all three of those: good, very good, or acceptable, good, and very good. So I'll make three different piles so that the condition notes will apply to all of those. The blanket condition note will be the same for all of them. There might be slight variances, right? Like this one might have, I don't know, a little something different than the other one, slightly, but generally it's going to be the same. Also, though, what you could do is create a separate condition note. I mean, within AccelerList, I can do that. I'm sure within some of the other listers, you can do it too. Have preloaded condition notes. And you could stack up the books that have, let's say, a lot of highlighting or underlining or margin notes, and you can put those in one pile. So then as you go through it, you could have that, apply that condition note to it that says something like, book has underlining, margin notes, and highlighting, period, right? However you want to phrase it, but you could do it that way too if you have a lot. But usually in my experience, unless you're getting a lot of school books, and they just tend to have a lot of that stuff as well. When I come across a book, like a fiction book, for instance, that's very popular, or that is being read and purchased, for schools, for colleges, or high school even, then a lot of times they will have notes, they will have underlining, or they will have highlighting, either all three or one of those, or at least one or two of those. So you can, make a separate pile of those and just apply those condition notes to that. Terry says there are a few mega sellers who never use any condition notes at all and still have a feedback rating over 90%. I've thought about trying that, but seems kind of risky. Yeah, I mean, that's the great thing about using a lister instead of just using Amazon, is that you can just have all your condition notes set up so you don't have to even input them. All you have to do is just select the one that applies to whatever condition the book's in. If you have 20 good condition books, and just select the same one, and you don't have to hassle with it. I think it's better just to do that than to not include condition notes. I know as a buyer, for me, I might be weird. I like to read the condition notes, and I don't buy on Amazon anymore because I have access to so many books. But when I used to read all the condition notes. So I'm sure that's a small minority, but or a minority of people. But I just do it anyway because I'd rather just, than leaving it blank is so weird to me. And it might come down to somebody reading your condition notes and saying, oh, this sounds like a better condition book, or the book that I want in that condition versus the other one that hardly has anything or sounds too general. So yeah, that's what I would say about that. So let's see. Where do I start? So some of the things, I have a bunch of books here, but I don't know if they're good examples. Well, anyway, I guess I'll just dive into it. So I would just say that some things to consider would be dog-eared pages, tears that need potentially tape, price written. Okay, so first one, dog-eared pages. We all know what that is, I'm sure. Some of you might not know if you're a newer seller. I should try to find one that actually has it, but that's going to be hard to find probably. But essentially, it just means that the corners of the pages were folded over, as some people like to do, instead of highlighting something or using those little colored, narrow colored stickies that you can just put there to mark the page. They will just, dog-ear the page, fold over the page. Usually, most books don't have that at all, but some do. Some will have a couple, which is fine. I just like to fold those over. Some will have, dozens, 50, whatever, and depends on whether you want to spend the time doing that or not. I usually like to just fold them back, just because that's my I guess you could say OCD or whatever. But fortunately, it doesn't happen that often where there's a book that has a ton of dog-eared pages. But I prefer to just fold them back, put them back to normal, even though they will be creased. But you can just say that there are some dog-eared pages in your condition notes. But yeah, some people might say, "Oh, time is money. Don't waste your time folding over those." But to each their own. You can do it or not. It's up to you. But I prefer to do it Once in a while, I do come across some though that have a ton, and so I just kind of debate whether I want to sit there and do all of them or not. Sometimes there's tears in various places, so rarely is a page torn. I don't find that often. Mostly it's a cover tear, so it could be, it could be like usually on the edges here. There might be a little tear here or there, or down here or along here, something like that. Usually there's not a tear in the middle, which is kind of weird, more like a puncture. But usually what I'll do is try to put some tape over it, maybe underneath it on the underside. Clearly that's not like the professional way to do it. I'm sure there's some professional way, but a lot of times, sometimes the bottom or top of the spine will have some sort of tear, and you know, especially if it's a bigger tear, you can make it line up pretty nice and put some tape on it, or if you have a better professional way to do it, just so that you can still sell the book. Because I won't want to send it in with a tear, even a small or a big tear. Thankfully, most books don't have that, but if it's one that's worth money, that's profitable, it's probably worth it to do that type of thing as well. Um, yeah, Brian says it feels good to fold them back. I agree. I like to do that. You can iron out the creases. No, yeah, I've never done that. But hey, it depends. Some of us individual booksellers really like our books to look as good as possible and are willing to spend some time on them. Some people will laugh at you or will say you're crazy. Don't waste your time. No one cares. But if you care, then do it. If it's important to you as an individual, or if you just want that to be, you want to sell books that are in that type of better condition, then I recommend, well, then you should do it, right? Whatever makes you feel better. This whole like time is money thing is true, but also, um, you know, do what makes sense to you, uh, and what makes you feel comfortable, basically. Um, so yeah, let's see. Another thing is that I will find if I go to a library book sale sometimes, or a lot of times, certain of them, some of them, this is what they do with all their books, is they'll write the price in the top, what is that, top right corner of the very first page in pencil. So they'll be like, $2 or whatever, a dollar, 50 cents. And thankfully they don't use pen or some other type of writing implement that permanent leaves it permanent, but they'll just use pencil. So usually what I will do if I have a bunch of those, if I go to library book sales, I'll just erase those, real simple. It doesn't take that much time, just because I don't want to. I feel bad I feel like it would be, to get a book, to buy a book for $15-20 and then look inside and see, oh, a dollar. I feel like that's bad business, but that's, maybe that's just me. I would hope not. I would hope other people are doing that too. So I tend to erase those. Clearly, if there's a price sticker on it from a sale, I would take that off as well. Usually those are on the, on the covers, but sometimes they could be inside. And if that's hard to take off because you're going to end up tearing the page, then you can just white out the price, or, use a marker, black marker, whatever it is, to cover it, to scribble over it or through it. But if you do go to library sales, that will happen a lot, where they will have written inside of it. And of course, well, I'll get to the other ones, but let's see. Okay, yeah. So so sometimes sometimes books will have pen underlining or margin notes, and there's nothing you can do about that. That's permanent. But some will a lot will have pencil underlining or pencil margin notes, or notes throughout the margins or inside, in between the paragraphs, kind of a thing. And if there's a lot of those, you should not bother with trying to erase them. If there's dozens of pages, don't sit there erasing those. Just leave them alone and put it in your condition notes. As long as they're not, they haven't scribbled out the text or anything like that, or it's indecipherable from the potential reader, then I wouldn't bother with that type of thing. The only thing that I would say, Unless the expensive books. Okay, yeah. Unless the book is really expensive, it's an expensive book, um, or there's not that much of it. So if there's only like sometimes I'll come across this is very common where I'll come across books that only the first chapter or the first couple chapters or even the first couple pages, literally first one or two or three pages will have some sort of writing on it or underlining or whatever, and then I may erase it if it's in pencil, but usually even not that. So and if the book is really an expensive book, and it has a little bit of that, and you might want to get rid of it. But again, that's kind of a weird scenario. I don't usually have that happen where it's an expensive book, unless it's a textbook. But that's to be expected that it would have, or that it might have some sort of markings or highlighting. The other thing is too, when it comes to certain school books or textbooks, some people, especially like non-school books, but they're not textbooks, so they might be fiction or they might be nonfiction, but it's for school. The book is purchased a lot for studying in school. Then a lot of I've heard that some students might even like the fact that it has underlining or margin notes because it might help them as they read it themselves, which is so weird to me. But that could be a scenario as well. So don't necessarily think that just because it has all of that inside of the pages that it might be a bad thing. Yeah. Oh, whoops. I used a tube of PVA once to glue back in 4 detached pages. It sold $50. I never heard anything negative about it. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'm sure there's. Yeah, so Terry says that there's a condition hacking course. Yeah, for sure. I'm sure there's whole book repair kits that you can buy. I'm sure. Book repair kit. Oops. Yeah, I mean, here we go. There's even videos on YouTube. What is the basic book repair kit? Save your books. Book repair, spine repair, part one. Um, you can definitely always find this stuff online. Here's something. Here's like serious one here. I mean, $192. There's also this one, Blick Art Materials, Lineco Book Repair Kit. They probably have some sort of special glue and tape and whatnot. Here's another one, binding101.com. That looks interesting. Oops, hi there. Oh, come on. So I don't know what all this is. I guess they have some tapes and glues and whatnot. They even have a little guide. Oh, I see. If you want the tools, though, you got to spend $134. No, it's definitely probably pretty interesting. I mean, look at this. Look at all these tools here. Anyway, I'm pretty sure there's a whole community on YouTube of people who repair books and they make videos about it, and I'm sure there's blogs about it and websites and all that kind of stuff and forums. And that's definitely something that people do. They buy a book and it might be a rare book that has some issues with it, but they finally found a copy and now they want to do some repair to it, for collectors and that type of thing. So again, we're reselling books. We're trying to flip books pretty quickly on Amazon. I mean, eBay as well, but just talking about Amazon too. So it's up to you. If you learn the art, or I don't know if it's an art, but if you learn the process of repairing books, you get a little kit for 40, $50, whatever. Even if you spend $150, maybe it's worth it for certain books. I've rarely come across the scenario where I would need to do that, but it happens once in a while. Like I think I found a book just yesterday going through all the donations that I have that was in too rough a shape for me to send in. I can't remember exactly what was wrong with it. Maybe it had something to do with the spine, but I couldn't even sell it in acceptable condition. So I'm sure there's magic ways to fix books, but again, it depends on how much time you want to spend on that. If you enjoy the process, then do it. and you can salvage some books. So it all depends on your outlook on it and how much time you want to put into it, and if you enjoy that process or not, for sure. Um, yeah, they're going into the gently applied lemon juice will remove highlighting. Oh gosh. Uh, yeah, that's a good point too. Some books that are warped, you can do that. Put it under a bunch of bricks or whatever, and it can sometimes straighten it out. Oh yeah, no, I don't. I don't. Terry says don't skip acceptable books. No, I don't skip them. Um, I guess it just kind of depends on how bad it is. But I definitely have sold a good amount of acceptable books over the years on Amazon for sure. Um, there's all kinds of hacks. I mean, that would be interesting maybe to learn about that. Um, okay, so yeah, if the cover has, uh, sometimes the cover will have either of the dust jacket. That's the other thing. The difference between a dust jacket on a hardcover book or the cover of a soft cover book. Those are different materials. So you got to be careful with how you clean the two. Sometimes with the paperbacks, if you try to clean it like with Goo Gone, it can get the paper can kind of start to disintegrate a little bit if you go try to, I don't know, put too much on there or scrub it too hard. I found, but this material is different. This is slicker, thicker as well, and it's got like a shine, a shininess to it. I don't know what they put on it, some coating or something. But this, of course, the typical um, paperback book cover is not quite the same, not quite as durable, or dealing with getting wet or trying to get stains out. So sometimes you'll come across this and it's got like stains on it, whatever, like for whatever the stains are. But I'm talking about ones that you can actually take out, not ones that are really soaked in, but ones that you can take out. You can either use just wet a paper towel or a rag or something, but also you can use Goo Gone, which you guys that are here are familiar with. There's also other ways, which I have not done, but I can't remember what someone said in a book forum. There was some other way without using Goo Gone because anyway, Goo Gone will help you get out some of those stains, but what did I say? Goo Gone for prices. Oh right. So sometimes book thrift stores will put like on the spine or on the cover, they'll use what's called like I think it's like a grease pencil. Is that what it's called? I think it's a grease pencil. And they'll have it in different colors. It'll be red or whatever, blue, and that'll come right off with Goo Gone on like typically on a smoother surface. Sometimes if it's on a paperback, it depends. It depends on the book, but usually like if it has creases, it'll get in between the creases and it'll look even uglier. So sometimes I won't even bother. But like this one does not have a crease spine, so that'll come off easily. But sometimes be careful because it'll get up here on the edge and it'll seep into the like into the spine here where the pages connect with the spine, the backing. So you just got to be careful with that grease. I think it's a grease pencil it's called. But that's you can use Goo Gone to get rid of that. I've cleaned hundreds of books with Goo Gone with that type of stuff, and or dealing with those pencils from thrift stores. There's certain thrift stores that I go to or that have gone to in the past that only use those grease pencils, and they come right off with Goo Gone typically. Um, Although what some people do say about Goo Gone is it does leave it does smell a certain way. So I don't know if that odor goes away after a few days. I haven't tested that out, but there is a Goo Gone smell to it, and it is a little bit oily. Um, which so I try to wipe off all the residual Goo Gone after I'm done with a rag or a wet paper towel. Um, Also, you can take off sticker residue. So if there is certain stickers are worse than other stickers. So like for instance, I don't know what it is about a lot of so some Goodwills, half of them have those small stickers, and the other ones have these gigantic ones that wrap around. They usually like go here and then wrap around, and they're usually really really sticky, and they're hard to get off. Um, and they leave a good amount of residue, whereas other ones hardly leave any residue. So it just depends on the sticker. There's all different types of stickers. We can really dive into this. The other thing is about what I found with those um, stickier, bigger Goodwill stickers is you can use, for instance, a hair dryer, hair dryer, and you can just put it right over there for maybe 20 seconds or so, and it will dry out that glue, and then usually you can just peel it back pretty easily. But again, it depends on how much time you want to put into that. There was a time where I was getting a lot of CDs that had those on them, and I would use that process. But over time, I ended up just kind of just trying to replace the cases and not messing with that. But that's another thing to consider is using a hair dryer for that type of thing. And yeah, the Glue Gun usually will get out the sticker residue pretty good. You usually can't do it with just water or your fingernail. So Glue Gun is good for that. Um, yeah, Scotty peeler. I've never used a Scotty peeler, but that's another way people use the Scotty peeler to peel up stickers. Um, so sometimes what I'll do with either more expensive books or sometimes if they are large hardcovers, and I'm worried about the dust jacket getting either coming loose or getting damaged in some way. Um, and this also would apply to sets or box sets of books where I will wrap them in um, just in plastic wrap, cellophane. Some people have poly bags. I've never done poly bags. I mean, well, it's down there, but I just have cellophane wrap, and I just wrap it around it tightly on certain books. You know, one, not even 1 out of 10. I mean, just a very small percentage of them that I will do that. For instance, I do that with CDs when when they're digipacks, which are those that have that tray inside where it's like paper, sleeve or exterior. It's not the plastic jewel case. And I will wrap those types of CDs, and I'll do the same for books once in a while for books. So clearly for this one, this big puppy here is the Civil War trifecta here by Shelby Foote. Big heavy book set, which goes for good money. But this is a donation, and this one I will wrap with cellophane just to make sure that the books stay together, because clearly I'm not going to send it in when the books can just fall out like that. Do not trust the Amazon workers to take good care of that or to keep it together. So I will wrap that for sure. And just other random stuff that I feel, um, random, more expensive books or those big hardcovers, that type of stuff. I will wrap those as well. But again, I don't do that all the time. Um, yeah. If you guys have other ideas about types of things that you can think of about dealing with condition of books before you send them into Amazon, let me know in the chat. Um, but I would say those are kind of the big ones that I've gone over. The other thing is just condition notes, which I was talking about earlier with Brian's question, is you don't have to, yes, you should put condition notes, but some booksellers that have been selling for years on Amazon will say, people don't even read them. Just put them in there just because you should. It's good to do that, but don't get too wrapped up in it. Just have a blanket general statement about that and what whichever applies applies to the books that you have. So I have, like I said, I usually just do between acceptable and very good for my books. Sometimes I'll do like new for like some CDs if they are still sealed, the case is not broken or anything like that. Then I will do like new. Excuse me. But for books, like this book, I mean, it's in excellent condition. If you can see. Also, the other thing to consider are the page edges. Look at those. This is pristine, but sometimes there'll be what's called foxing, I believe, or spotting here. There'll be spots along here, or stains that can happen. So that's something to consider as well. But like this one is in. Oh, but look at the inside of the front cover. See that crease? See, to me, that's not very good. That's why I'm going to do good on this one. The pages are immaculate, though. It doesn't have any underlining markings, anything like that. But I would just, in general, when it comes to condition notes, I would make sure and err on the side of. So, for instance, if a book is in very good condition, it doesn't hurt to say it's good condition, so that when the person gets it and says, "Wow, I thought this was good condition. I was expecting it to be more beat up, and look at it. It's like excellent condition," so that you don't have issues. Versus you say it's in very good condition, and actually it's more like good to acceptable condition. You don't want that, which a lot of mega sellers will do. A lot of big Amazon sellers, they will say something is in very good condition. It ends up being in pretty bad condition, actually. So it's always better to err on the side of caution with that, and just say that, yeah, it's in good condition when it could be very good condition, or it's in acceptable condition, but actually some people or a lot of people would consider it in good condition, that type of thing. So I think that's always better to protect yourself in that way versus having someone say, "Oh, wow, this book, I thought I was going to have it in good condition, and it's in ratty, acceptable condition." That's not good. Okay, Brian brings up a good question. He says, when you find a jewel case you are selling that's the thicker type that holds 2 to 4 CDs and it's broken, what will you do? So broken, you mean, so usually, I don't have one here, I don't think. No. So you mean those ones that open up on both ends? So basically those two sides of the jewel cases are the back side of a typical 1 CD, 1 disc tray, right? So you can just replace those. You can just take those out. Be careful though, because if you take those out, yeah. Um, okay, so I wish I had one to show you. But anyway, I have a CD here, but this back part of it, so it can just come out easily with that. But this part, these hinges, or these holes are in the they have the little inserts of those 2 to 4 thick double cases. So that part you can just take it out. But the ones that go in here, be careful, because a lot of times you take those, as you're taking them out, they're in there pretty tight and it'll break, it'll snap. Now what I've done is I just keep to the side. I don't know what they're called, but those parts that go into the ones that, the black ones, I don't know what the heck you call them. Double, no, CD. It's called a quad. Here we go. It's called a quad 4-disc jewel case. So that part that's in the middle there, whoops, this part here in the middle, I keep some. I usually keep the whole thing together, but sometimes I'll just keep this middle part, and I will if that one is broken, like if those edges are broken, doesn't show it here, but on the back side where it connects to these two disc trays, sometimes that little part will break, and so I just keep some of these to replace it. Basically, I've had to do that a lot of times, actually. Yeah, I always replace those. Basically, with CDs, I call this part the hinge here. If that is broken, I'll always replace it because you get the CD and it just falls off. Like you can't even open it up or anything. It just comes off. So you have to replace that. If the front, I mean, for Amazon for sure, if there's cracks, I will replace it. In the past, I would send in cracked cases and just indicate that it was that it had cracks and I didn't have a problem. So that's something you can do for sure. But because I've had access to so many jewel cases and I have a lot of extras now in the warehouse, that I can just replace those without a problem. So that's what I usually do now. Yeah, the quads, I will replace those if they are broken. I don't know, a handful now. I have a handful in the warehouse that I have, and occasionally I'll have to replace them. But that's usually what I do. Oof. Terry asked about a broken spine on a book. Um, let's see. Like it's snapped? Yeah, I don't know. I see some videos on YouTube about how to repair broken book hinges, how to repair a book spine, how to fix book binding. Loose pages. Okay. Oh, so they're talking about glue. I don't know if you're talking about gluing the pages or if the actual spine is cracked. I don't know. I've never dealt with that. Here's some librarians share their best book repair tips. Use Hinge Tape. What is Hinge Tape? Where does that go, to Amazon? Oh. Okay, Hinge Tape. Demco paper hinge tape. Oh, I see. Huh. Okay. Book tape every year. Always tape the spine of new books. This adds years to the life of a book. Anyway, so like I said, it depends how deep you want to go into it. Um, hmm. Depends on how deep you want to go into it. I mean, a lot of people just want, they want quick turnover. They want to move through books fast. But, if you bought a book and you didn't realize something was wrong with it, you brought it home, you definitely want to try to repair it. I would just look it up online, see if you can figure something out. It might be why it's good to have these tools, these book repair kit tools, and start to learn about that stuff. I've never used it, but usually if I just come across a book that I bought and it's damaged in some way that I can't repair it, I just toss it. Uh, but I don't know. It depends on, it could be if it's something interesting to you, then maybe you can get some of these kits and learn about it and see if it's something that's worth looking into and doing. Uh, hmm, yeah. Ryan said sometimes the price is printed on the book by the manufacturer near the barcode. Oh, my price is lower. I'll put the sticker covering the barcode, but still show the original price. Yeah, you can do that. I mean, also, of course, as people, as you guys know, but maybe people who watch this in the future won't know that your FBA sticker should be covering any barcode that's on the back cover. That's where your sticker should go if there is a barcode. If there's no barcode, then it doesn't matter. Um, I know of a lot of booksellers. I mean, not personally, but online that I've read that say they put all their books in poly mailers, poly bags, I guess, which are just transparent bags that you just drop them in and seal them at the top, and then they put the sticker on the back of the to cover the barcode. They put the sticker on the back of the bag, and they ship it in that way. And you can do that. You have to buy the poly bags. You have to spend the extra time doing that, but that's really not necessary. I think I've usually heard from people that, or read from people that they do that because of they don't want to damage the book. They don't want people to have to deal with the sticker and that type of thing. But most people, I don't think, don't care. But if you want to put in that extra time, that extra cost, then feel free. That's for sure. You can run your business however you want. Um, I mean, the bottom line is a lot of buyers, Amazon buyers, will not, especially Prime buyers, will not even look at the condition notes, and they may or may not even care about the condition of the book. I personally, when I would buy books, I would care about the condition on Amazon, but a lot of people don't even like, especially if it's a buy box thing where they just click on whatever's in the buy box and they buy that and don't even bother reading the condition notes. That's probably pretty common. People that actually click through to look at all the offers are probably more likely to read it, but I'm sure that's a smaller percentage of people that actually do that. But I still like to have the condition notes just to protect myself as best as possible. Even though Amazon a lot of times will side with the buyer over the seller when it comes to the seller or the buyer complaining about getting a book in bad condition or it's damaged or that type of thing, even though you know full well that you sent it in a certain condition, in a better condition, and then somehow it arrived when it was purchased and shipped at that person's house and it was in a different condition, which means that it was damaged somehow from when you left it at UPS and went to the Amazon warehouse, was taken out, was stored, and then taken out again, and then shipped to the person. I mean, whatever. What are you going to do? At least you can have the condition notes that say it. But there's some things that are out of your control that you can't really try to prevent. Yeah, some people just buy new, and then you're not gonna be able to sell your used copy. If you guys have other comments about conditions or about preparing books for Amazon, let me know. But I did wonder if you guys who sell eBay and Amazon too, but have you noticed a slowdown on your eBay sales the last what is today? Thursday. This week, basically from Monday till today. Yesterday, I had no eBay sales, not one. And today I had a sale, one sale, this CD. I sold this CD. Thank you, Olga. um, However, when I looked at my Amazon sales, I didn't have any merchant fulfilled sales, but what was it? What is today? So Tuesday I had like 5 sales, and then yesterday I had 7 sales on Amazon. And then June 1st, I don't know how many, maybe it was like 4 or 3. So I understand because of everything going on right now in the country between coronavirus and between the protests that that might be part of it for eBay. But also, I'm wondering if it's also the end of school and the beginning of summer for a lot of people anyway. That if that, even though a lot of people are still quarantined, even though a lot of businesses are still closed, I'm wondering if there is still the summer slowdown. But also at the same time, why is eBay slow? And then for me anyway, and then Amazon is still chugging along. Um, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, to me, it just makes me want to do more Amazon, which thankfully I'm doing because I have a lot of books here that I found. I'm kind of surrounded by books, which is a good thing. Um, Here you can see over here, that whole box is full of books. There's books stacked over there. And then behind me, there's another box here of books. And these are all ones that I've found for Amazon. Most of them FBA. A few are merchant fulfilled, but most are FBA that I will be sending in, starting to list them today, and then sending them in, hopefully, if not today, tomorrow, as I've gone through all of the donations I've got, book donations. Excuse me, and I found all of the ones that make sense for FBA for Amazon, because I see the discrepancy in sales between eBay and Amazon, and I'm like, wow, Amazon keeps chugging along, and eBay, can see a little bit more fluctuation. It's not as if Amazon doesn't have fluctuation in sales, but it's just interesting to see the difference there. Brian says there's a valuable book called Knowing Bass, The Scientific Approach to Catching More Fish. That does sound like something that's very niche. For sure, if I saw that, I would definitely look it up. But it's exciting for me. Well, exciting. I guess so, kind of, to send in to be able to send in a lot more books, kind of coming back to where I started doing books a lot. And I just had a person contact me. My ad is running until tomorrow, my Facebook ad, and then I'm going to put pause on it there because I'm getting so many books that I'm buying from that bookstore that I don't want to get more. But this woman contacted me saying that she has 300 good condition books to donate. So we'll see what she says about when to pick that up. But 300 books, that's a lot. And also, it was interesting yesterday. I was shooting some video for a future vlog, but I was talking about it in the vlog. But how I had a donation from a woman who I drove out to pick up the books. It was a relatively big book, or it was like a bigger box. It wasn't completely full, but probably, I don't know, 40 books, 45 books. And when I picked them up and I had just briefly glanced in, I saw that they were majority fiction, like 90% fiction. I thought, oh, well, this probably isn't going to be worth much, at least to resell online. And then, it sat in the warehouse for a while, and I finally got around to it now and finished going through all the books yesterday, or majority of them, for Amazon. And then I start scanning through all her books because I'm just, I'm going to scan through. If it has a barcode, I'm going to look it up because you never know, even if it's fiction. And it turns out that she clearly buys books when they first come out brand new on Amazon, because almost all of the books, high percentage, probably like 90% of them, were published in 2019 or 2020 or like 2018-17. But most of them were a year or two old, and so they are still selling really well on Amazon for profit, good money as a reseller. And it ended up that the majority of the books that I pulled out of that box, I'm actually going to send in to Amazon. So you don't judge a book by its cover, right? Even though it's a John Grisham, it doesn't mean it's not worth money if it's a newer John Grisham. Like, I think she had one in there that was like his newest book from last year, and it's still being purchased like crazy. The prices have not tanked. and you can still sell it for good money, FBA, close to the new Amazon price. So if you have newer fiction that you're acquiring or can get a hold of, a lot of times that can sell for good money. It's when it gets to be 3, 4, 5 years old that the demand for it goes down, and a lot of copies get out on the used market, so they end up going on Amazon. A lot of them merchant fulfilled, and then the price just gets dragged down over the years, and before you know it, it goes from a book that you could sell for $15 FBA, and now you're lucky if you can sell it for $8 or $9, and there's just no profit left in it. Whereas you could pull $4, $5, $6 profit, and now you might be lucky to get 50 cents or $1 profit. And also, it's selling like crazy, so you know that when it hits the warehouse, chances are it's going to sell immediately, possibly right when it goes live, if not within a few days. Worst case scenario, a week or two, that those books should sell. So that means that immediately when those go live, you get a big spike in sales. That just sell that stuff off really quickly, which is always very rewarding as a reseller because you see your sales go up. That seems to be always the case when I send stuff into Amazon. Once it's received and scanned in and goes live, over those next couple days, I usually see a spike in sales. Usually. That's always fun. Yeah, 300 books. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Terry says, I went to a lady's house the other day and scanned through a tub full of books. She wanted for us. That's good. Here, I'll put that up. She wanted $40 for all of them, but I only bought one for $3. It's going for about $165. That's nice. See, that was good for you. She wasn't able to get rid of all her books, but that's a heck of a deal for you. That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you just never know what you'll find. If you can make, that's the thing, you find out that you've got to look for people, because she's clearly probably going to end up donating those books. So that book might have just ended up at a thrift store, on a shelf, and then somebody else, some reseller would have come along and found it probably, unless that thrift store is selling online. But that's really where the money is, right? Is getting to these books before they are donated to a thrift store, and who knows what the thrift store will do with them. A lot of thrift stores will just put them out on the shelves. That's it. And some will look for valuable ones and sell them online. So yeah, it's always good to try to grab those, or get to them before they get donated. So it's just interesting now that I've gone through, what is it, like, it's either, I think, 10 donations that I've received since running this ad. And I have, I don't know how many books I have total around here. Probably, I don't know. I'll let you guys know once I scan them in, but it's a lot. And so also what I've been doing as I've been going through them, I do FBA first, and then if there's any that stand out to me for eBay, a few I've pulled to the side for eBay individually, and then I'm keeping some for my local sale, and then the rest of them I'm just putting them. So some of them are in terrible shape, so I have to toss them. Some of them are obsolete; no one wants to buy it, so those I just have to get rid of as well. But the other ones that I feel still have some potential or make sense, I've been putting them into different categories to see if I can get together some eBay lots, and we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. This has been day 33 of Flippin' Live.
Flippin' Live, Flippin' Live, Flippin' Live, Flippin' Live, Flippin' Live. We're gonna strive, we're here to learn, and gonna earn. Flippin' Live,
I appreciate you guys watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, etc. We talked about how to prep books for FBA, types of things that you can think about when before you send them in. sticking to guidelines, your condition notes, that type of thing. Make sure you put those notes in there. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. We will be on here tomorrow, Friday, 7 a.m. And we'll talk about some reselling again. So thank you for watching, guys. Have a good day. Hope you have a good day of sourcing, listing, whatever it may be. I'm going to list a lot of books on Amazon. Hopefully I'll have a story tomorrow about that to see how many I was able to get together. And we'll go forward on a positive note. So thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Stay safe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.